Hello and welcome to Mount Fuji, Japan for round two of the Virtual Motorsport Series Contender series on Le Mans Ultimate then. So, of course, we had round one last Friday, a week ago, at the Algarve, and we saw a very, very entertaining 40-minute race. We've got another 40-minute sprint in prospect here in Japan, in the shadow of Mount Fuji, of course. And our visit to Japan, one of two very, very well-known racetracks here in the Far East in Japan, of course, with Suzuka probably being the other one, but Mount Fuji, of course, the scene of several exciting Formula One races, also a regular fixture on the World Endurance Championship. So let's refresh our memory then of what happened last week in the Algarve in Portugal. Of course, in Hypercar, it was Mikołaj Kuczyszki who had triumphed over the pulsar Walter Trilla after Trilla had a dramatic spin at the turn 5 hairpin in his Ferrari 499P. So Kuczyszki in his Lamborghini took a somewhat unexpected but very hard-earned, hard-fought victory. And him and Walter Trilla, it could well be another exciting battle in prospect between our Polish and French drivers, respectively. Behind them, we've got Paul Lapierre in another Ferrari who was able to stealthily sneak his way past Germany's Tobias Blumschein in the BMW to get onto that final spot on the podium. Kevin Gillin had a couple of scary moments, was able to fight his way back up to 5th ahead of OSR's Online Sim Racing's Romain Marchand in the first of the Toyota GR010s. And of course, Marchand recovered from having to miss quite a large chunk of qualifying to get back up into the top 6 ahead of American driver Michel Ballon. Lexi Taylor from the UK was in 8th in a Porsche 963, just behind Marchand and Ballon. Then it was Santiago Barrios in 9th, with Costas Militis in a third Toyota, rounding out the top 10. Meanwhile, in GD3, Mesic Kasperzik had a brilliant start to take the lead and then was never really headed, despite a strong challenge from Marin Bessier. But it was the Polish driver Mesic Kasperzik that leads the championship at the moment then after that early victory. Bessier had a bad start, but fought his way back up to second as the race went on, with Jeremy Leitus also fighting his way through the field to finish in third. Vaskin Simonian, he didn't quite get his name up on the sign-up sheet, so it was an unknown driver, but of course we do know his real name now, of the Frenchman, Vaskin Simonian, in his BMW M4 GD3. Oliver Bruniou was in 5th, with Lucas Korsch 6th after a late spin, a big 360-degree spin, get too far over the inside curb at turn 1, and it had disastrous consequences for him, with Nick Dealey, the British driver, getting up to 7th. Stanislas Pajot, the Frenchman, in 8th, with Rune Bobers in 9th, and Online Sim Racing's Jerome Mitral rounding out the top 10 then in his McLaren. So very, very exciting opening round then, as our contenders starting to get back up to speed, and now they're being let back out of the toy box onto the Fuji Speedway, of course, in Oyama, the Sunto district of the Shizuoka Prefecture in Japan, of course. And of course, this is a circuit owned by Toyota that's been around since the 60s. Though, of course, it used to be owned by Honda as well, I think. But then Honda, of course, have got Suzuka now, so they don't really need Fuji. And you see the Toyota advertising all over the circuit, somewhat unsurprisingly. And, of course, Toyota, very, very popular around these parts. As we look at our championship leader, Masiusz Kasperzik, and I do have to always we see a big snap from Masiusz as he tries to get the tyres up to temperature, which could be a bit of a factor in this qualifying session, as it so often is. But Kasperzik, I completely forgotten that he'd actually driven for one of my teams very, very briefly in endurance racing. He drove for my Hunterburt simulation team in, I think, a 24-hour of Daytona race that we did, but sadly weren't able to finish. There's Vaskin Simonian. He has finally updated his name onto the official timing screens, so we will be able to see uh, him fully represented then out on track today then, as he just makes his way through 13 and now 14. That's Net's corner 14, as he goes through 15 and now into 16 comes Message Kasperzik. So this is Panasonic, the final corner, of course, before that long back straight, of course. It's one of the longest back straights on the calendar, of course, with a pretty high speed you reach here, but at the end of it, as we see Kasperzik begin his first flying lap and will hope to get himself onto the front row, much like we saw at the Algarve. Into the first corner we come at nearly 270 kilometers per hour as he now breaks down into first gear for that first hairpin and gets back onto the throttle then as he goes on the sort of long run, a little bit downhill, then it goes slightly uphill into turn 3, this left-hander, Coca-Cola. And then we get a 100R. This is the corner that we saw Kasperzik really struggling to get the tyres warmed up into on his warm-up lap. Going a little bit wider on the exit of 100R into the turn 6 hairpin as we're almost down at the bottom of the hill again before we start the long trek back uphill. And now towards Dunlop, turn 10, another tight right-hand hairpin leading into a chicane, which is, of course, 11 and 12. Now into the right-hander, turn 13, imaginatively named 13th. Let's hope it's not unlucky, as we see Kasperzik being the first duty-free out, unsurprisingly lighting up the timing screens there. Purple as he goes very, very wide off track through 15. From 14 to 15, the Nets complex. A little bit tricky to spot your braking point there. Into the final corner we go. And the Polish driver towards the timing beam he comes. What is this first lap time going to look like? It's going to be a 130... No, it's 140, sorry. He's just in the low 140s then, as Vaskin Simonian is going even quicker in the first sector, but 0.3 off in the middle sector. It was 139.6. That's the time to beat from Korsch so far. But that's immediately beaten by Simonian, who goes a 10th quicker with a really, really strong final sector there. So the BMW working well here. Kasperzik has abandoned that lap he was on and gone back to the pits for another go as Mitral sets a 142.3 in the McLaren. This probably won't be quite as strong a circuit from the McLaren as Algarve was, with the long straights and long constant radius corners, and might not necessarily play to its strengths compared to, say, the BMW. Although having said that, Bessir, who was our pole sitter in the Algarve, has gone only a 10th slower than Simonian and just jumped Korsch there. Kasperzik then starts another lap and is purple in the middle sector, nearly half a second up on Vaskin Simonian. The rear absolutely hanging out once again as he goes through turn 15. The BMW on its ragged edge through the slow, twisty stuff. And then coming onto the straight, this is where it starts to come into its own then. Kasperzik having a much tidier lap than his first attempt then, as we go into the final 5 minutes or so of GT3 qualifying. And it's an invalid lap then, so Kasperzik yet again breached the track limits. They did make the track limits a little bit more forgiving for the GT3 cars in Le Mans Ultimate in a fairly recent update, but it seems Kasperzik has fallen foul of that, and he really needs to get a lap on the board here, otherwise he could find himself starting from the very, very back of the field. So we got 3 of our 4 BMWs in trouble. The other one leading the way as Stanislas Peugeot now starts his lap in the 31 Team WRT BMW. Peugeot, of course, a Team Iris member, has had a lot of success in R-Factor 2 endurance racing. Of course, race winners in esports endurance series in the Hypercar class there. Peugeot, a big part of that lineup, but previously lots of GT3 experience as well, funnily enough, in the BMW. So good to see Peugeot after a slightly anonymous run to 8th in class in the Algarve. coming back for another go. We also got a comment in the chat from LJT saying Walter Natrilla is not driving today then. So I guess I did say open with a prospect of a battle between himself and, of course, the winner last time out, Mikolaj Kutrishki. But Kutrishki, in theory at least, should have an easier time of it because Natrilla is not going to be there today. So this will, in effect, have to be Walter Natrilla's dropped around. As Peugeot then. Personal best in the first two sectors, but he is nearly 4 tenths down on Bessir, who has now gone fastest, 139.468, just ahead of Simonian. Can Peugeot get anywhere near the top 4? That would be a great result. He goes 4th fastest exactly. There we go. 8 tenths away from pole position. Maxime Wendler then displaces him there. So yeah, the BMW's finally getting it together through the twisty stuff. The slow twisty parts. Okay, there's Masic Kasperzik with about 3 minutes left on the clock coming back into the pit lane. So Kasperzik in more difficulties then. And Simonian is going even faster then. Nearly half a second quicker in the first sector and 3 tenths quicker in sector 2 then. He is absolutely flying out there. Could well be a very, very low 139 that the 31 of Vaskin Simonian is about to set here. So can he take pole position away from Marin Bessir? And he crosses the line. No, he cannot. In fact, Renew Olivier gets the McLaren onto the front row. So the 720S is really starting to find its feet here in the hands of Bessir and Olivier at Mount Fuji then. But Olivier narrowly missing out on pole position with that lap there. We are coming into the final few minutes now. 1 minute 50 left on the clock. So anybody in the pit lane like Leitas, who I think has just joined the server, needs to get out quickly. Same with Kasperzik, yet to get that lap on the board. As we look at Wendler trying to come around, and Kasperzik actually being held up a little bit here by one of the number 70 Inception McLarens. That must be Olivier. Of course, is trying to beat his best lap time, and he's about 1.5 tenths down so far on this lap. There is Bessir trying to make it 2 pole positions in a row, and the Frenchman has really shown his quality so far as he starts to just come back to the racing line. He's about to start what will be his final lap now. And this is surely going to make sure he can stay out of reach of Olivier, who himself is about halfway around what will be his warm-up lap for his final go. In fact, here he is now. He's at the final corner. Healthy gap to Kasperzik behind, who is in the last 40 seconds of the session left to go then. So Kasperzik needs to get this lap on the board, or he will start dead last at the moment then, behind even Leitas. Olivier sets a personal best in that final sector there, so that shows there's a bit of time behind then. Simonian has gone fastest there, 138.6. So very, very good lap from the BMW driver, Vaskin Simonian. Of course, fought for the podium last time out, but finished just off it after some good opportunistic overtaking. And we see, oh, Peugeot has dropped it. Where is this? This looks like turn 6. He is spun around at, or potentially, no, this is 14 and 15, I think, as there's Maxime Wendler getting through as well. So neither of those two BMWs are going to improve from 5th or 6th. It's all about Bessir and Olivier, I think, at the moment. And Korsch has gotten up to 2nd as well. 2 tenths quicker than Bessir. So a very, very good final lap from Paul Korsch. Lucas Korsch, sorry. I don't know where Paul Korsch came from. I don't think there is it's Paul Lepere I'm thinking of in Hypercar. But Masic Kasperzik then. Personal best, but down on Simonian by 2.5 tenths in both sectors then. So Kasperzik is really, really up against it here. This has to be the lap that gets him at least in the middle of the pack. Otherwise, our championship lead is going to be in a world of hurt as the rear end drifts out through the final corner. You see Renew Olivier so close in that middle sector, but not a great first sector. It is a personal best. He might be able to gain at least a spot here on the grid. He gets up to third. There we go. He jumps Marin Bessier, who I think is still out there. Massis Kasperzik goes 7th fastest there, just behind Vendel and Peugeot in the other BMWs then. So that will certainly help. It's better to start 7th than 12th as Mitral now goes towards the line for the final time. Not enough to improve on 10th, but a good last 2 sectors there. That first sector, a second off the pace though. And here's Olivier on his final run. Just in the first sector then. So we'll have to see what the times look like here. Hopefully he hasn't started this lap after the time has elapsed here. He's 2.8 tenths down in sector 1 with the BMW. I think Kasperzik just in the background there, who definitely missed the cutoff and is going slower in the first sector as a consequence. Olivier goes into Dunlop and now through the chicane, 13th and nets, and he is personal best but slightly down on Simonian, so this could be a little bit close between Olivier and especially Korsch here. Needs to make sure he nails his final sector. Simonian is surely heading into the pit lane now. Cuts right on middle of the road coming out of the final corner, so the BMW, he thinks he's done enough for pole position. Can Bruno Olivier spoil the party? No, it doesn't been a strong enough final sector. He is heading for the pits as Kasperzik. Oh, this is a bit controversial. I wonder if Kasperzik is going to try and set his final lap, because he definitely crossed the line after we went into the final 15 minutes of the session. He remains 7th either way, so that is it for Maciej Kasperzik. So I think that is our final GT3 starting grid. It is Vaskin Simonian on pole position, nearly a second ahead of Korsch. Then it is Bruno Olivier in 3rd, Marin Bessier in 4th, so not 2 poles in a row for Marin Bessier. Stanislas Peugeot, his best qualifying the season so far, in 5th, with Vendel 6th, Kasperzik, championship leader, down in 7th. Then it is Dealey in 8th, Schubert 9th, Mitral in 10th, and Bobers rounding out 11th and last position, just 2.8 seconds, sorry, off the pace. A little bit tricky to see with the being so bright in the early sun. They don't call it the land of the rising sun for nothing here in Fuji, of course. Now then, we wait for our hypercar field to be released. You should be expecting about 11 or 12 hypercars total, with, of course, the absence of Walter Natrilla, who set pole position last time out. But, of course, Walter Natrilla still got that second place to his name with the drop score rule in play. You do get to drop your worst results, so if you miss a round, it is not necessarily the end of your championship. But Kutrishki will be looking to take maximum points here unless somebody else can stop him. Of course, chief to look out for, our chief rivals will definitely be Paul Lepere and Tobias Blumschein, who are 3rd and 4th, and not far behind at all. But don't forget, there are a couple of drivers in particular cars that might suit the Fuji circuit a little bit better. Of course, it was definitely the Lamborghini and the Ferrari that were the 2 standouts, although the BMW and the Toyota weren't too far behind in the Algarve, of course. The Porsches, we're yet to really see the best of the Porsches, and we'll have to see if this circuit suits the characteristics of that particular car. Don't forget, of course, on Sunday, a couple of days' time, we've got the 4th round, our second endurance round at the VMS Pro Series, which is where our very, very top drivers will take part. And, of course, the top 3 from the final standings in GT3 and Hypercar at the end of this season will get promoted to Pro in Season 2, of course. So there's certainly a lot up for grabs, and, of course, plenty of prize money. Quite a lot, I think about $300 or so total prize pot being distributed among not just GT3 and Hypercar classes, but also for the sprints and endurance championships, respectively. As we look at Olivier Demoliens getting the 99 Porsche 963 out on track, the Turbo Express, the Fat Turbo Express sponsorship you can see on the inside of the wheel arches there, as he lets the BMW go at the inside then. It could well be the BMW of Tobias Blumschein just ahead of him. There, in fact, there is Tobias Blumschein. So he's on a completely different part of the circuit. So it clearly is somebody else. As we see, Demolians is going to be the first to set the benchmark times here, since he was the first out of the pit lane. We did see a Ferrari stop at the end of the pit lane, which did seem a little odd, just to let everyone through. But sometimes with, as you see, a 10-minute qualifying session in total, Hypercars, they can get a few more laps in more quickly. The lap times will be a bit quicker, so they are certainly pacing themselves, trying to get as much clean track in front of them as they can. But Demolians then, nearly 320 kilometers per hour as he brakes into the first corner, into first gear. And the 963 makes his way all the way towards Coca-Cola turn 3. You can see the difference in speed, traction, and downforce compared to the GT3s immediately as he sticks it through fourth gear, coming through 100R into 6, the hairpin. Again, traction at some of the low speed corners will be critical. There are a couple of decent overtaking opportunities here. Dunlop, I think, coming up is one of them. But also the first corner at the end of that long straight will probably be the standout. You might even see a few moves potentially into the hairpin at 6 or coming into 16 if someone's feeling really brave about trying to take track position and then giving a tow to those behind all the way down the start-finish straight. Demolians then coming to the end of his first lap. It looks neat and tidy so far. We'll have to see when it comes down to hybrid battery deployment how it shakes out in the scheme of things then. Coming towards the line now, and we should see as in fact the BMW has positioned itself right behind then, and we believe that is might well be Sobers as getting himself onto the time. No, it's Bugiera. No, it is Sobers, sorry. Bugiera just a little bit further down. There's Paul Lepere. He is saying the time screen's the light of the moment on his first run. The man who finished third in that Ferrari now takes pole position provisionally. There's Mikolaj Krzyzewski, championship leader at the present moment, looking to make good on the promise of that Lamborghini that we saw perform so well in the Pro Series in the hands of second place man in the Pro Championship, David Mrokjak. Roman Marchand, this time avoiding the mistake he made in the Algarve, goes second fastest. He didn't come out with the GT3 cars and have to suffer a 5-minute stationary penalty in the pit lane in qualifying. So purple first sector as well. That's a good sign for the Toyota at their home circuit, of course. There's Michel Bayan in the number 8 Toyota. A little bit off of Lepere's time, but not by a whole lot. 0.2 off in the first sector, less than a 10th off in the first. So he's looking good to potentially jump Romain Marchand here. Neat and tidy out of the final corner. And onto the straight we go. Nothing really else to do here, but use a bit of the hybrid battery deployment. That virtual energy, of course. And put your foot to the floor. And it's second fastest. Very good final sector there. Better than Lepere's, actually. But a 0.233 off of pole position there. So a little bit of time to find for the Toyotas compared to the Ferrari. We know the Ferrari's a very, very quick guy on a straight line. We expect on Sunday in the Pro Series the Ferrari to be very, very strong at the Circuit de la Sarthe for the 2.5 hours of Le Mans. 2 hours 40 minutes to use more accurate terminology, I think, given the total length of the race. Here's Krzyzewski. Oh, purple middle sector here. This is looking like a really strong lap then as he puts the Iron Lynx Lamborghini number 19 through its paces then. Very, very controlled, but able to carry a lot of momentum through these constant radius medium speed corners then in the final sector. Towards the time beam he comes then. This could well be provisional pole for Mikolaj Krzyzewski. How does this match up to Paul Lepere, who we know was being beaten by the Toyotas in the final sector? And Krzyzewski, oh, is a little bit slower actually, but only by 53 hundredths of a second. So not a great final sector for the Lamborghini, but good enough to at least challenge Leclerc for pole position on the front row. Lexi Taylor, what can Brit do? 7th for the moment. He remains 7th, a second off the pace. So, yeah, the Porsche is a little bit behind everybody else at the present moment. With Lexi Taylor, the best of them. Tobias Blumschein has set a very, very good lap here as well in the number 15 BMW. He is marginally behind Kutrishki, 69 hundredths behind Paul Leclerc. So we are looking at a three-way fight for pole position with 3 minutes left on the clock then. And Tobias Blumschein, who had a solid run to 4th, would have been a little bit disappointing to just be beaten by Leclerc to the podium, has now got a great chance to take overall victory. We've got Ferrari versus Lamborghini versus BMW, potentially versus Toyota as well, if Balian can find a little bit more time here. Let's look at Tobias Blumschein going very, very wide on the exit of the turn 6 hairpin there. Balian, he's fastest in the first sector and just under a 10th off in the middle sector then. So it's all going to come down to the final sector, but Balian is being blocked here by another of our Porsche 963s. That's going to just distract him a little bit. It's not enough to impede him, but it will just get in his peripheries here. It will give him a lovely tow potentially down the straight, although Balian is heading immediately to the pits, so he's deciding not to take advantage of that. And then 2 minutes left to go. This is his last opportunity to bolt some fresh tyres on and see if he can make a bid to get on to the front row. So Kutrishki and Leclerc, they have already put on some fresh tyres with just under 2 minutes remaining then. So Leclerc, as expected, has blitzed through the first sector then, nearly 2/10 quicker than his current pole time. But a slightly slower middle sector then. So this is looking on to be about the same as his provisional pole lap, as we see a yellow flag somewhere. Leclerc, just really churning through those rear tyres then through 15. Into Panasonic he comes, and he's going to have one more run after this then, as he gets just the embers of slipstream from the BMW in front of him. Can Paul Leclerc improve on that 127.6? Let's see. Yes, it's a 10th quicker, 127.548, and could that be enough to secure pole position? But Nikolai Kutrishki once more is really, really strong in the middle sector, nearly 4/10 faster, but he's 2/10 off in the first sector. This could be very, very close then. Towards the timing beam he comes. Is it going to be pole position? It is for Nikolai Kutrishki. 127.4, and Blumschein, with 55 seconds left on the clock, has come to a stop in the final sector there. So Blumschein will do no better than third. He has not improved on that lap, but Romain Marchand is improving. He has gone a 10th and a half quicker in the first sector there. Let's see what the timing beam comes up to in split 2. No, it's a bit slower. Nearly it's almost undone that brilliant first sector in the middle there, with some slightly slower exits here. So the Toyota has got to do it all through the final sector here. Can he at least beat Tobias Blumschein now, who is certainly within his reach, possibly Balian and Sobers as well? If he can do that, will be achievable. Can he improve on 6th position? The Toyota coming towards the line now. Marchand looking for a good result here, and he goes third fastest. He does beat Tobias Blumschein. He is just pipped by Paul Leclerc, actually. That was a really strong final sector from the Toyota, and that bodes well for the race as well if he's got that straight line speed. And Kostas Miletus is on a personal best in the first 2 sectors as well, but this is not looking like a challenge for pole. This is looking like potentially 6th or 7th in prospect here for the man currently in 9th. Can Miletus, who finished in the top 9 last time as well, improve on that here in Japan? The flag somewhere out there on track, so somebody has hit issues and is one position better. He does beat Lexi Taylor to go to 8th position then, as we see Sachin Sobers, and I think Sobers might be the last man on track at the moment, down in 6th position, half a second off of pole at the present moment. As you see Bugiera abandoning his final time, coming into the pits. He will start just outside the top 10 in 11th. Let's see, is Sobers on a decent lap time? I don't think he is. Yep, he's heading for the pits then. So we can confirm our Hypercar order then. It is Mikolaj Kutrishki, our championship leader, that will start on pole position from Paul Lepere. So here it is then. Mikolaj Kutrishki leading the way from the Ferrari of Paul Lepere then. Row 2 will be Romain Marchand with Tobias Blumschein, the man fourth in the championship, fourth on the grid, just behind the Frenchman. Then Michel Balion will start fifth from Sachin Sobers in the other BMW. Maxime Barbier will start seventh with Kostas Militas in eighth, making up row 4. Row 5 is Lexi Taylor and Olivier Demoliens in the two Porsches. Then on row 6, it's Yanis Bugiera with Santiago Barrios alongside him. Row 7 is our duty-free pole, Vasquez Simonian with Lucas Korsch alongside. Joining them on row 8 is Bruniou Olivier and Marine Bessier. Stanislas Pajot and Maxime Wendler make up row 9. Then our 10th row of the grid is our championship leader, Maciej Kasperzik, with Nick Dealey right behind him. Row 11 is Gustav Schubert on his first appearance with Jerome Mitrel for company in 22nd place. 23rd on the grid will be Rune Barbiers with Jeremy Leitas, who was 6th last time out, is near the very, very back of the grid here on row 12. And I think that is our final row of the grid then. So slightly lower attendance than the Algarve, but certainly that is to be expected at this phase of the season. With the that's why the drop score rule is there. But the main headlines there are a very, very good qualifying for Kutrishki, pulling it out of the bag to beat Lepere right at the finish. But Kasperzik is in a very, very difficult position down in 7th in class with Bessier, Leitas, and our pole sitter Simonian all looking to take advantage as well. So GD3, like we saw in the Algarve, could be a very, very close contest. I expect Kutrishki and Lepere will have a good fight as well. And we'll have to see if the Toyota and the BMW on row 2, maybe Tobias Blumschein can at least get that podium. There's a good opportunity to do so, having missed out in the first round. Let's have a pause. Well, it's now would be a good moment to pause before the actual 40-minute sprint race begins. My name is Edward Hunter, by the way, in case I didn't introduce myself. I'm commentating alone, so there's nobody else alongside me apart from broadcast director Nikolaos Domino, doing a fantastic job as always. A couple of comments in the chat. Ducat749 says, go, Roman track limits Marchand. So yes, Roman has certainly fallen foul to stewards a couple of times so far in his short contender career, but certainly having a much better qualifying there. Lots of support for the French online sim racers team. Marchand having a very, very strong final sector. Let's go Barbier, says our pro driver Clement Gergaud. Of course, is one of our drivers streaming their races in the Pro Championship. I don't think too many of our contenders are streaming their races, so they're going to be very reliant on this coverage. So I'll try and say as many nice things about them as I can within reason. Christopher Rache says that Lexi Taylor guy is amazing, putting all my money and 401k fund on him. Well, Christopher, Lexi Taylor 9th on the grid, so certainly won the second best of the Porsches, but yeah, Lexi not having a stronger run so far in qualifying as he did in the Algarve, so plenty of ground to make up, but yeah, certainly it's a bold bet from Christopher Raish. Jody says, sensational, Christopher. So he certainly thinks he wants Christopher to give up all of his life savings and 401k money. Nahul Sprika says, go Barrios. So good to see some support in the chat for Santiago Barrios, a very experienced sim racer as well in his own right. As we see the Hypercars for the first time getting to move down the long back straight then as Paul Lepere is going to be very, very keen to get the jump on Mikolaj Kutrishki here. Kutrishki, of course, was beaten at the start by Walter Triller in the Algarve, but this time determined to hold on to his own pole position. Then look out for that number 8 Toyota just behind, and Tobias Blumschein in the number 15 BMW just behind the Ferrari. Then as we're now up to racing speed, it's green flag here at Fuji as the Hypercars are released, and they're going to get a big tow here. Blumschein is making a move. We see Sobers positioning himself to the outside. Paul Lepere as well making a bid to try and defend second position. Blumschein is trying to go up the inside, and it's the Toyota going through into second position here, unless Tobias Blumschein can defend. But a horrible start for Paul Lepere as you see the GD Freeze being released in the background, and it's the Olivier making a bid for the lead as well, next to Simonian, who I think is just about held on into the Coca-Cola corner. But Kutrishki now 7/10 ahead of Romain Marchand as Lepere immediately back up the inside of Blumschein, who was not able to hold on to the move on the number 8 Toyota of Marchand. But Blumschein now trying to fight back around the outside of Paul Lepere, using a bit of hybrid battery there and virtual energy as they go into Dunlop turn 10. And Lepere has to brake a little bit deep, which gives the two BMWs behind a little bit of an opportunity to tuck right in and plan their attack onto the back straight, and wide again for Paul Lepere. This has not been an ideal start for the 51 Ferrari, and that's allowing the 215 BMWs to swap positions up the inside of Blumschein. Goes Sachin Sobers then, and Sobers trying to make it 2 moves in 2 corners. You see Melistas and Taylor dueling away. Great start for Lexi Taylor to gain 2 positions up to 7th then. So we got a huge pack fighting over the final spot on the podium, but Marchand starting to break away, and Kutrishki well and truly making a bid for freedom in the overall lead. But look at Sachin Sobers then, from 5th on the grid, now trying to get up to 3rd, and oh, Paul Lepere goes very, very wide. Did he get hit in the back into the first corner, or did the brakes just not function as he was expecting then? Meanwhile, the GD Freezer slipstreaming. Here comes Brenu Olivier trying to get past Stanislas Bajode for what is a second position in class. Olivier turns in, and they both make contact through the first corner, and up the inside goes Marin Bessier, the man second in the championship, now 3rd as he dispatches the number 70 Inception McLaren of Brenu Olivier, his fellow countryman, and now focuses on Stanislas Bajode, who made a fantastic start to get up to 2nd, but unfortunately for him, it is still Vasquez who is leading the pack then by quite some margin there. A couple of seconds to the good then. Much like Kutrishki, it must be said. So our 2 leaders making a big breakaway. Kasperzik down in 18th overall, stuck behind Lucas Korsch at the present moment. Oh, up the inside goes Bessier. It's a really late move. Late on the brakes into Dunlop, and he's going to be stranded on the outside for the second part of the hairpin. But that becomes the inside as he goes into 13th and towards nets as well. And Bessier, oh, the rear end just getting away from him. And Bajode is under attack once again from Brenu Olivier as well. Bajode up the inside now of Marin Bessier as he tries to retake it, and Bessier goes off track into 15, but holds his nerve into the final corner at Panasonic then. So all of 2nd all the way through to 6th are slipstreaming each other down this back straight now. Oh, miscommunication, and into the wall goes the McLaren, and Bajode is taken out by Brenu Olivier there. That was an absolute disaster, and the McLaren of Olivier is missing its rear wing there. There was just a miscommunication there. I think Olivier thought it was clear, and Stanislas Bajode was still there, could not get out of the way quickly enough. Meanwhile, Paul Lepere has had another BMW get past him. Tobias Blumschein is now up into 4th once more, and you've got to feel for Lepere then, who was 2nd on the grid. It's just been absolutely swamped then at the start here, but he has at least broken clear of the Taylor Melistas battle. Lexi Taylor now in the top 6. So all of a sudden, Christoph Reich is his gamble on all of his life savings is not looking quite so silly after all. As we see the 2 BMWs side by side again. Blumschein is trying to get back on the podium here. He's going to try and go up the inside into Panasonic and hang Sobers out to dry and feed him into the path of Paul Lepere there. Lepere very, very thankful to get back into the top 4 then as they continue to slipstream each other down that back straight then all the way towards turn 1. Remember, nearly 320 kilometers per hour reached at the end of this straight then, potentially more in the toe of the car in front then, and Paul Lepere trying to use Tobias Blumschein to stay ahead, but Sobers breaks itself, oh, into the first corner, and a bit of contact with Paul Lepere. Tried to cut through on the inside, but there wasn't quite room for him to do so. You see in the background the GT3s continuing the duel. Here is Gustav Schubert on his first appearance, giving Nick Dealey a bit of a hard time, but a better exit from the final corner for Dealey. And now there's a Ferrari getting involved in this as well. That's Leitus, I think. Jeremy Leitus gaining another position, of course, after a tricky qualifying. We'll have to see where our championship leader Kasperzik is at the moment. I think he's just ahead of this battle. You can just see in the background there is Kasperzik then trying to fight with Lucas Korch, but it is Schubert having to let Jeremy Leitus through then, as we see Sobers is out. Sachin Sobers, who was in 5th position, just been passed by Tobias Blumschein, and now Lepere as well, because Sobers has either been disconnected or crashed out. That's a big shame for him. He joins Olivier as our second retirement here of the 40 minutes sprint race here at Fuji then. So very, very bad luck. This is going to have to be a dropped round for Sachin Sobers after what was looking like a strong start to the race then. Meanwhile, Krzyzewski still leads Marchand by 2.5 seconds, so he's really extending that gap there. Artek Carmack says Hrushishki. It's Hrushishki, not Krushishki. So I've been mispronouncing the Polish driver's name there, so that's good to know. I will try and rectify that as best I can as we look at our championship leader. Maciej Kasperzik has actually had a bit of a fight through the field, up to 4th in class then. Ahead of Leitas. He's currently fighting with Lucas Korsch for the final spot on the podium. Of course, with 2 of the GT3s taking each other out, that's really played into the hands of Kasperzik then. But yeah, Basir and Simonian still looking to gain a lot of ground in the championship here. So Kasperzik needs to get past Lucas Korsch as quickly as possible. And you can see Basir just in front of them as well, giving both of them a big tow down the straight then. So this is where Kasperzik, going out of track limits in qualifying, has given him a lot of work to do. But look how late he is on the brakes compared to the Ferrari of Korsch. But if anything, that sort of puts him at a little bit of a disadvantage then as well. Oh, there goes Michel Balian going straight on there into 13th. And that is going to allow Barrios through, and Bujira, I believe, as well. So big issues there for the Toyota. Oh, big snap there for Santiago Barrios as the BMW tries to get out of control at the final corner then. But yeah, you can see the top 5 in both classes there with 8 minutes elapsed in the race. Hutrishki is nearly 3 seconds now ahead of Roman Marchand. Tobias Blumschein in 3rd, another 2 seconds adrift of Marchand himself. But he's got Paul Lepere, 8 tenths all over the back of him. And then Alexi Taylor, having stayed out of chaos, having a good start to get into the 5th position in class then. Meanwhile, Vaskin Simonian is now 7 seconds ahead of Marin Basir. Basir has not really had the pace to keep up with that BMW, and he's falling into the clutches of Korsch and Kasperzik, the 2Ks. And then it's Wendler, just a little bit of drift in 5th, still ahead of Jeremy Leitus and company. Onto the back straight we go then. And Lucas Korsch, that slipstream from the McLaren ahead is certainly saving him a little bit at the moment from Kasperzik, but Kasperzik is tucked right in behind. You can tell the BMW working really, really well here, and Kasperzik will be kicking himself for not getting that lap together much earlier in qualifying, but he's got an opportunity to get onto the podium now. The door is open into the first hairpin here, as he's still alongside as they go all the way downhill towards Coca-Cola, but Korsch around the outside is able to carry a little bit more speed and slots his way back into 3rd place in class then. So this fighting gives Basir a little bit of breathing room here. The man who was so quick, let's remember, at the Algarve, fighting to really hold on to 2nd at the moment. But Kasperzik will be getting a little bit frustrated here. It all seems so easy for him from quite a lot of the race at the Algarve. But now the man who was being hunted and holding on to the lead now finds himself having to fight his way through the entire field. So far, he's had a relatively quick rise to 4th in class, but now it's going to get much, much harder to get past the 2 cars in front of him for the next half hour. And remember, there is still Wendler and Peugeot that aren't too far behind him, as we see Korsch going a little bit wide through the penultimate couple of corners there, as Paul Leclerc is sizing up Tobias Blumschein as he desperately tries to get another podium off of the German driver. Blumschein loses the rear end on the exit of Dunlop, but he's controlling the middle of the road, which is the racing line there, through 12 and 13. So Blumschein, under a lot of pressure, is starting to lose touch with Marchand. But then Paul Leclerc makes a little mistake of his own through Nets turn 15. And that takes the pressure once again off of Tobias Blumschein. Blumschein, of course, will be desperate not to make the same mistake he did going through traffic at the Algarve. And, of course, slightly longer lap here than the Algarve. So it's taken about 10 minutes now before Kotrishki is, I think, finally coming up to the rear of the GT3 field to lap them. Of course, with a lot of this circuit being that back straight, it means the difference really is sort of a straight line speed rather than cornering speed. As you see a yellow flag, that clears quite rapidly. There is the Inception McLaren. The Blumschein is just going to be a little bit impeded by through turn 3, so there's an opportunity here for Paul Leclerc, who goes around the outside at 100R. You can't really make out Blumschein from that camera angle. It's a little bit too high in the cockpit as Blumschein goes right underneath the BMW, and that might well be one of our 31 BMWs of Peugeot, I think. Indeed it is. So it was Metral that was just being lapped just before that. And look at this. Paul is all over the back of Tobias then as they come through the final sector here. So this traffic is really opening up an opportunity here. Tobias Blumschein needs to pick his moments absolutely perfectly here. Cannot be afford to slip up now. If he takes the outside line trying to lap one of these cars, Paul Leclerc could just go the other way around and slipstream his way through then as they go on the back straight here. And look at this, Kaspersik is having another run at cautious. The race leader, Hutrishki, is getting past as well. Kaspersik has a really good run here as Cautious start to lose touch with Bessier in second in class. And now he's alongside, going into that first hairpin. Kaspersik, can he complete the move on Exy? He broke a little bit too deep there once again. Lucas Cautious sort of dummied him into that. And Kaspersik, frustratingly, still stuck behind then. Will have to play the long game and look in the background. Blumschein having to swerve this way and that just to make sure Paul Leclerc does not stick the nose of that Ferrari hypercar up the inside then. The red 499P looking for blood here from that BMW in front of him. And Tobias Blumschein is not really playing ball so far. He is not putting a foot wrong since being jumped at the start. It's been a very, very close battle between the two, so evenly matched, and this could well run and run and run. Because remember, Blumschein Leclerc in third and fourth in the championship could well be fighting at the end of the season for that final spot in Hypercar for promotion into Contender next season then, as there's a lot of traffic bunched right together, and Leclerc is the loser here because the other Ferrari was right at the apex, but now Blumschein has the favor returned to him at Nets turn 15 by the McLaren as they both try and go all the way around the outside. Leclerc almost thinks about tucking to the inside and has to get right on the brakes there at the final corner at Panasonic not to hit the back of, I think that was not Bessier there, might have been Bessier actually. Indeed it was, as we cut back to Nick Dealey, who was caught up to the back of Maxime Wendler in the battle for fifth in class. And Nick Dealey has actually been quietly impressive, the Brit, chewing his way through the order, much like Lexi Taylor in Hypercar, it must be said, who is about 7 seconds behind the pair. Blumschein fight is all very, very, very deep from Nick Dealey there. He was never going to stop that Ferrari in a month of Sundays into turn 1. And Maxime Wendler easily gets back through then. And that mistake has actually allowed the other Ferrari right behind of, I think that's, is that Vendrome Mitral, I think. No, it's not Mitral, it's one of the other Ferraris, isn't it? It's Leitas, sir. Of course, it's Jeremy Leitas, 7th in class. Now joining this battle for 5th then. So we got the battle for 3rd. It's all really wide, a big mistake there from Maxime Wendler, and Nick Dealey is simply going to go all the way around the outside as they have to, 3 wide for the Toyota of, I believe that was Balion. Just clearing all of them in one fell swoop, and it's almost 3 wide into Dunlop here as Wendler continues to try and defend, but Dealey is through, and now Leitas wants a piece of the BMW as well. That's a horrible sequence of events for Maxime Wendler, who finds himself on the wrong line, in the wrong position, and being shuffled out of the way by Hypercar and GT3 cars for position and lapping alike. As we see, here's Lucas Korsch. Now Kaspersik has finally made his way through. You see in front of it, but actually a really good exit from Lucas Korsch as the BMW clears the sister car of Kaspersik, and there comes the other one as well. So that's Bugiera and Barrios fighting over 7th position, joined now by Balion. Yes, Kaspersik now onto the podium will set his sights on the man fighting him for the overall lead in the championship, which is Marin Bessier then. So this has been a really, really good recovery drive from Kaspersik so far. Still just under halfway, or just over halfway, I should say, to go in the race. 24 minutes left on the clock then. As Bessier, turns it on the Porsche. And who was that? Was that Olivier Demoliens, I think, being taken? No, it was Taylor. It was Lexi Taylor. Oh dear. And he's lost 2 positions as a consequence of that. Through goes Barbier, through goes Bugiera as well. Lexi Taylor showed his nose, had the inside, but Marin Bessier just absolutely did not give him any room into the hairpin, and he's not going to be a popular man, not only with Lexi Taylor, but also with poor Christoph Reich, who is now starting to look like he may lose his life savings and his 401k payments at the end of this one. It was Simone, sorry. Vaskin Simonian who turned in, sorry. Not Marin Bessier, so I got the two a little bit mixed up there. So it was actually the class leader who did that, and that could well be controversial. There may be a stewards investigation after the race, or perhaps maybe even mid-race, given we've still got 23 minutes left to go, with, of course, James Huff and the rest of the stewards team is all. That was a really, really aggressive attempt to cut across there by the BMW. And now Taylor wants revenge on Barrios. It's all a late move from Balion to try and clear the class leader Simonian and Lexi Taylor in one fell swoop, but that was a little bit too much in one go there as we go back to Tobias Blumschein, who's started to catch up to Marchand, who is well and truly started to drop off the pace. Petrishki is now nearly 9 seconds, I should say, off of that lead. So Blumschein, having pulled clear of Lapierre, defending well, now back on the attack, which is exactly what we want to see. Tobias Blumschein really having a good run so far, and Marchand, who had that brilliant start, now looking vulnerable as the inside opens up for Tobias Blumschein into that final corner at Panasonic. Needs to be so careful not to just clatter into the side. Oh, and nearly got spun out there by Romain Marchand. That was really, really well judged by the pair of them now. Tobias Blumschein up to second then in class. So that was a really, really good move. Can he defend with the slipstream being so powerful from the Toyota here? He's trying to get back into second then as they go into the first hairpin. A late move up the inside by Marchand. Can Tobias Blumschein cut underneath? He tries to do so, but Marchand had a little bit too much overlap there. Tobias Blumschein going to hang it round the outside into turn 3 in his BMW, but Romain Marchand is not going to let that happen, and onto the curb goes Tobias Blumschein, and now he's got Paul Lepere for company once more. A really, really good battle for second in Hypercar then. Marchand, I think it may have made a mistake there, and he's lost a lot of time defending and fighting with Blumschein there. He's now nearly 11 seconds behind Rutrishki, who is waltzing away with this race. And Simonian, his confidence will be knocked by that collision with Lexi Taylor in the Hypercar as well. So we'll have to see how his lead is looking in the GT3 class. But meanwhile, all our attention is on Tobias Blumschein, who is gearing up for another attack on Romain Marchand. They go through the final couple of corners once again. This is where Marchand was a little bit weak on the previous lap as he defended and tried to get the slipstream that he knew would work to his advantage. Coming through, the rears hanging out on that BMW. Tobias Blumschein is not leaving anything on the track today. He is just absolutely going for it, and that is what we love to see. The BMW, such a force, has won 2 out of 3 rounds in the VMS Pro Series so far, in the hands of Jene Simicic and Michi Hoyer, of course. And Tobias Blumschein knows that is the car to be, and he originally did sign up to the Pro Series in a Peugeot 9X8, of course, but had to pull out due to computer problems that he's since fixed, ironically, and that's why he is one of our top contenders here in Hypercar in the Contender Series. Don't forget, there's still time, even with the drop score round, you could still sign up yourself if you want to take part in Contender for the rest of the season. It is pretty much every Friday, of course, as we see Tobias Blumschein coasting up to the back of Marchand once again. Will be interesting to see how the GT3 fight for second is going between Basir and Kaspersik, but look at this, Lepere really good on the brakes into the turn 10 hairpin at Dunlop once again, and that is allowing him to get into this fight. He's almost getting a double slipstream from the two hypercars in front of him. So Romain Marchand holding on to second by the skin of his teeth in the Toyota from the BMW of Tobias Blumschein. Then it's the Ferrari of Paul Lepere that was second on the grid, is now starting to fight back here. And Tobias Blumschein, that had Marchand pretty much all to himself a couple of laps ago, now finds himself in a little bit of a tricky position because the Toyota and the Ferrari, I think, got a slight straight line speed advantage over the BMW, but the BMW looks a little bit more aggressive through some of the corners, especially the long constant radius ones. Tobias Blumschein tried to get close enough into turn one, but again, he just doesn't quite have the overlap or the confidence on the brakes to do that do or dive move into the first hairpin. Then is Lepere, who's got the grandstand seat of the pair of them. Blumschein just trying to put Marchand under as much pressure as possible, move around a little bit in the wing mirrors, try to put the Toyota off and break the Frenchman's resolve here. He certainly is not lapping as competitively as he was in the early laps, though. But he has, to be fair, started to stop dropping several seconds per lap to Kutrishki. He's not hemorrhaging time anymore. And very, very far over the curb, coming out of 12 into 13 they go. Blumschein is tucked right up into the rear wing of that Toyota. So this will have to be a very, very well-planned and executed move in advance here. And Lepere will be eager to involve himself as well and spoil the plans of both drivers if an opportunity presents itself. 17 minutes left on the clock. You can see Kutrishki now lapping the back of the GT3 field again. That could well mix things up again in this order here as we look at the GT3 overall order. Simonian leading Basir by 9.3 seconds. Then Kaspersik a second and a half behind. As look now, Marchand is moving to the inside to defend from Tobias Blumschein and block off his line into the first hairpin. And now Blumschein actually gets a solid exit here, but it's not enough to make an impression into turn 3. Here come the GT3 traffic. Marchand will be gritting his teeth. He knows, just like my co-commentator in the Pro Series, Braden Hill, loves to say, traffic giveth and traffic taketh away, as Marchand immediately cuts to the inside of number 17 McLaren. It sees all three of them coming a long way in advance there, so that must be Schubert giving them a wide berth there indeed. And now Blumschein senses an opportunity here, but he's going to have to go free wide with the other 70 McLaren. And now Paul Lepere just avoids hitting into the back of Blumschein as he now has to deal with the second McLaren himself. Blumschein looking very, very intent on that second position here. Marchand defending well so far, has driven incredibly intelligently, used the strengths of his car, knows where Blumschein is not quite as strong in the straight line, is using that to his advantages. He gets a little bit delayed there momentarily by the BMW. It's not Simonian, I believe that's Peugeot they've just cleared then, and Blumschein looking closer than he has before. Has to go to the outside once more into the first hairpin as Romain Marchand tries to crowd him out off the ideal line and block the apex into turn 1. This is textbooks defensive driving from Romain Marchand, and Tobias Blumschein will be getting a little bit frustrated here at this point. 15 minutes left to go at Fuji. This into 100R, more traffic up ahead. Marchand and Blumschein will have to thread their way through without being delayed, and they're both able to do so, but the BMW is not in the ideal position here. And now letting them through, they go either side. Blumschein, oh, into the air as he goes well off track there. Round the outside, the 86 Ferrari up the inside of Leitas, and Leitas turns in on Blumschein at Dunlop Corner, and Blumschein loses that third position to Paul Lepere. That's really, really unlucky, as another GT3 has to go off track completely and cut the chicane. But that's a gift there for Paul Lepere, and Blumschein will be absolutely furious with Jeremy Leitas there for barging him out of the way. To be fair, Blumschein rejoined the track at quite short notice there. I'm not sure Jeremy Leitas would have necessarily seen him in the rear view mirrors as he lets the tail hang out, and Blumschein will be even more frustrated than before now that he is 2.5 seconds behind Lepere rather than ahead of him. So he's lost 3 seconds in all of that. As we see a move, here's Kaspersik under attack from Lucas Korsch yet again, who tries to go around the outside the first corner, but Kaspersik, the hunter, has definitely become the hunted now, because Korsch has maybe kept his tyres in better nick for these final stages of the race, and Kaspersik having to get defensive then into the first corner. But I think the big fight now is going to be Lepere versus Marchand, potentially Ballon versus Lexi Taylor as well, who, far from closing on that 5th position, has now seen Santiago Barrios clear him as well. So I think Lexi Taylor may be suffering damage in that Porsche from the contact with Simonia. Ducat749 says, we can feel frustration there, as we see Paul Lepere just lap the BMW that was in front of him of Kaspersik. And Vitka says, BMW Hypercar true to the badge, portraying an airplane propeller. Okay. So I think that's a little bit the history of the BMW mark being referenced there. Speaking of BMW, side by side they both go. Round the outside goes Blumschein on Masic Kaspersik, who leaves just enough room around the outside there. Blumschein not wasting any time behind Korsch or Kaspersik on this occasion. Marchand, by the way, now 14 seconds of Hrushevsky, who has had an absolutely spotless race. It's going to be 2 wins in a row for the Polish driver, so this has been an absolute dream for him so far. But look at Lepere, who's desperate to get back into that 2nd position. He's not had an easy ride to it, but the more he gets stuck behind Marchand, the more it opens things up to Blumschein, who's now cut the gap to them to 1.6 seconds here. So Tobias Blumschein is not out of this yet with 12 minutes left to go. We've got an absolutely fascinating fight for second in prospect here in Hypercar. And a mistake for Paul Lepere as he locks up the front left tyre. And that is going to be a sight that will really cause Tobias Blumschein to lick his lips in excitement and anticipation as we cut back to Yanis Bugiera right behind Maxime Barbier in the fight for 6th position then. So BMW versus Porsche. Barbier turns in at the hairpin, and what on earth? Leitas trying to go around the outside of Bugiera despite being in a GT3 car compared to the BMW Hypercar. So that was certainly aggressive, but Leitas under a lot of pressure, as he has been the entire race, from Nick Dealey, and Dealey certainly proving that he is not easy to deal with whatsoever, as Leitas continues to light up the rear tyres as we get plenty of Goodyear barrier in the stream there. Now, Nick Dealey tucking in once again, trying to look for the ideal way through the Ferrari in 6th in class. Or would that be 5th in class, wouldn't it, I think, for Jeremy Leitas at the moment. Evenly matched between the two. Is the Porsche gets a very, very bad run behind and is going to lose out to the Toyota. That's Lexi Taylor, who had just gotten through him. Michelle Ballon losing the position almost immediately due to GT3 traffic, but Lexi Taylor cuts all the way back to the outside then as he goes into the first corner. It's been such a tricky race for Lexi Taylor, but Ballon messes up his braking as well. They both lock up their tyres into the first corner, and Lexi Taylor back into 8th position. He's really had to fight all the way through today, and now another lockup, this time for Paul Lepere, who's really punishing those front tyres then as he goes into Dunlop Corner. Ironically, the corner named after the tyre is the corner hardest on the tyres for these Hypercars then, as Lepere now finds Blumschein, his old sparring partner, joining him in close company then for the final 10 minutes of the race. It's anyone's guess who's going to finish second here at Mount Fuji then. Romain Marchand holding on as best he can. Paul Lepere. Oh, Marchand is round! Marchand is round at the final corner and he gifts second position to Paul Lepere. But how much longer can Lepere hold on? Because Blumschein is now less than 3/10 behind and gaining all the way down this back straight in the slipstream. The BMW hungry to get into second position for the first time in this race. Lepere breaks super late into the first corner, but it's too late. He's gone off track, and Blumschein, after being undone by that duty-free traffic, fights his way back through into second. What a fantastic turnaround there, and Paul Lepere held on as best he could there, but he was only in second for a good 10 seconds down that straight there before Tobias Blumschein took advantage of that mistake and immediately got back through. That was really, really fantastic awareness there, but Marchand, the big loser, now 7 seconds adrift of that battle. Meanwhile, here's Korsch, still giving a hard time to our current points leader, Maciej Kasperzik. And this is going to be very, very interesting times for the championship because both Kasperzik, Garcia and Simonian, if things end as they are going to close right up in the championship. So this would be very, very good news for Garcia and for Simonian if Korsch can get back through. Meanwhile, here is the race leader, nearly 20 seconds out front there. Mikolaj Hutrishki, the Lamborghini, has just had a dream race here, untroubled by everything that's happened behind, and he is waltzed away into the distance. And Blumschein now in second. He is starting to fight back a little bit. He's got the gap actually under 18 seconds now. But with only 8.5 minutes left in the race, it's unlikely that Tobias Blumschein is going to pull off a shock victory. I think he's more concerned about holding off Paul Lepere, who's fought so hard to get back in front of. But here's Simonian. Not quite as strong a lead, but still 11 seconds to the good. But there is that question mark with the contact with Lexi Taylor hanging over him. So Vaskin Simonian will be just hoping that he stays out of trouble in the steward's room, but still wants as big a gap as possible so that if he does get a penalty, it will not cost him the position potentially in the lead of the class. And there's Nick Dealey. Jeremy Leitus has fought very, very well to hold on to that 5th position, but Nick Dealey has just been patiently waiting the entire race, looking for a way through. He's had a couple of goes on the brakes both in this very, very similar Ferrari there, so there's not a whole lot of different characteristics around the circuit for them to take advantage of. It's all really going to come down to putting Jeremy Leitus under pressure, making sure he runs out of tires at the end, or potentially fuel as well. Fuel could be an issue even in a 40-minute race here at Fuji. So we will have to see who has been smart and who maybe will have to conserve in these final 7 minutes then, as Rune Barber's duels away with Gustav Schubert in the similar livery Inception McLaren just in behind him. Barber's half a second ahead and trying to hold on to a top 10 position in class at the present moment. I think this is the battle for 9th in class. As we see, round the outside goes Hutrishki, and he's just made really, really short work of the traffic here. They've seen that bright green Lamborghini coming in the mirrors, and he has really been disappearing almost before they realize they've been lapped, essentially. So that is exactly the way to do it in Hypercar, to have as minimal drama as possible. There's the number 7. That looks like Miletus, who is a lap down in 11th, outside the top 10 then. So it's not been a clean race for Costas Miletus, unfortunately for him. But the battle for second still raging on. Paul Lepere, determined not to give up then, wants to get that Ferrari into the runners-up spot that he started this race in. But unfortunately for him, he has been outfoxed, outmaneuvered, and a little bit unlucky as well. But it's certainly been a fantastic back-and-forth fight between him, Blumschein, and Romain Marchand. Oh, and a mistake there on the brakes for Blumschein. That allows Lepere to go up the inside, and Tobias Blumschein makes very, very minor contact then out of the final corner. Now tucks into the slipstream. He's flashing his lights, clearly not happy there. Felt that Lepere maybe Could have left a little bit more room. Blumschein is going back up the inside then into the first corner. Lepere goes right to the racing line. He's going to try and hope that he gets on the brakes in time. On this occasion, Blumschein is a little bit later though and cuts to the inside, blocks the apex, and Lepere is pushed back into third position once again then. So again, Lepere leads into the final corner, but not at the end of the straight there, with the BMW positioning itself well and getting the straight line speed advantage that it needs. Lepere all has to think about a move into the hairpin, and Blumschein extends the corner just a little bit to make sure the Ferrari does not have the space it needs to slot its way in. So incredibly intelligent, strategic driving from the both of them as they seek to get the advantage on one another. And it's a private duel now with the Toyota and Marchand a long way down, 6 seconds behind at the present moment of both of them having to go all around the outside of the McLaren there. As here comes Lucas Korsch. This time he's got the straight line speed right to the inside. Comes Kasperzik trying to hold on to that third position in class. They bump, they bang, they barge wheels and side doors into the first corner. And Kasperzik holds on to the inside as best he can, but he's left it open on the long run into turn 3, and Lucas Korsch is going to try and go round the outside into Coca-Cola. That's a risky move. Surely he's going to have to concede. He's not far enough alongside, and off track he goes. And that was a little bit predictable, but he comes back still alongside through 100R next to Masic Kasperzik, who is desperately trying to hold on to that championship lead. He goes a little bit wide onto the curb, and Lucas Korsch is going to come up the inside into the hairpin there as Kasperzik has lost a little bit of his momentum. Korsch swings around and goes through back onto the class podium then, but Kasperzik will be trying to get the toe and go back around the outside into the Dunlop hairpin. They're still alongside. What a fantastic duel, and it's Korsch that has fought his way back through. Here comes Hutrushki in the overall lead, looking to lap these two GD3s, but Lucas Korsch had to absolutely get his elbows out to force his way through into third position again in class. And I wonder if Kasperzik will argue, as we see Hutrushki a little bit held up, a sandwich in the middle of them. I wonder if Kasperzik will argue that Korsch went off track during that sequence of events to complete that overtake. But I think even then, you'd have to say it was all into the hairpin at turn 5 there, where the door was left open for Korsch to slice up the inside, and slice he did. So we see somebody has outbrake them. Paul Lepere has made a mistake on the previous lap. He's once more got his braking wrong into the first corner, and far from being fighting alongside Tobias Blumschein, he's now 2.5 seconds behind, and as you see on screen, and 5 seconds ahead of Marchand, who certainly hasn't given up with 2 minutes left to go. But I feel it might be too little too late. That mistake at the final corner costing Roman Marchand dear, as we cut back to Balian and Lexi Taylor. Lexi Taylor desperate to get at least something out of this race and finish in the top 8 for the second race in a row. But Balian in a second of our Toyotas, looking to show well at Toyota's home track here. But unfortunately, the race has not really panned out Toyota's way. It's in all about Lamborghini, BMW, and Ferrari in the end here. Porsche and Toyota sort of fighting away for the scraps in 4th position downwards. Kasperzik still 4 tenths behind Korsch, as you see Miletus in 11th position getting another penalty. I think that might be why he's a lap down. That's another shame for the 7 Toyota, but the 2 number 8 Toyotas faring a little bit better in the top 10 quite solidly. And Balian, with about 70 seconds left to go in the race, is running out of time to launch an attack on Lexi Taylor then. And Lexi Taylor brakes, locks up into the Dunlop hairpin, but somehow gets it stopped in time. But clearly the pressure starting to get to everyone in these final stages. So crucial not to slip up now. Meanwhile, Hutrushki, as we go into the final minute of this race, is 22 seconds ahead of Tobias Blumschein. It's been a fantastic, dominant performance then from the Polish driver, our championship leader, making good on all the promise he showed to snatch the win from Walter Natrilla in the Algarve. But nonetheless, I think we're all excited to see what Atrilla can do when he comes back for the third round of the championship, which will be our first endurance round, if I'm not mistaken, a full 100-minute race rather than the usual 40 in Contender. And Simonian looks like he is going to follow Hutrushki through to win his class then as we go into the final 10 seconds. So Hutrushki, this will be the last lap then as he comes through Panasonic for the final time onto the back straight. The timing beam is extinguished then, and it's been a flawless drive from Mikolaj Hutrushki. He has dominated from lights to flag, and the second round of the Contender Series at Fuji goes to Mikolaj Hutrushki as Simonian takes the flag just behind and wins. Does Vasquez Simonian for the first time. His first Contender podium to boot as well in Fuji as well as Marin Basia, which is second in class in GD3. He potentially could be very, very close and taking the championship lead at the end of this. As you see Kasperzik, having to lift over the line. Perhaps he was a bit low on fuel as he's beaten by Lucas Korsch. And Kasperzik, winner last time out, only fourth this time around. And let's not forget Tobias Blumschein taking his first podium. A fantastic run to second to beat Paul Lepere from the German driver there. But it's going to be close to the line for seventh then between Lexi Taylor and Michelle Balian. And I think somebody ahead must have hit trouble as well, because they were fighting for eighth earlier. And now, as they go over the line, around the outside goes Balian, but it's a little bit too late. Lexi Taylor just about holds on to seventh there. So I think, did Demolians have some sort of penalty or something right at the end? Or am I seeing things here? I'm pretty sure. It was Bugiera. Bugiera failed to finish the race, so he had a retirement on the final lap. That's brutal bad luck there for the BMW there that was running in seventh behind Santiago Barrios. And that it could be very, very costly come the end of the season then. But it looks like everybody has crossed the finish line on the final lap then. So the 40 minutes of Fuji has concluded then. And I don't think many people would have bet against our overall winner in Hypercar then. But let's look at the GD3 results then. 24 laps completed. It really flew by, didn't it? Vasquez Simonian wins by 12 seconds over Marin Bessiere, despite a scary moment with Lexi Taylor. Vasquez Simonian was very, very dominant in the end. And fourth in the first race, he gets his first win here. So he is equal in the championship with Matthews Kasperzik now in second, I believe. Marin Bessiere leads the championship with second. Very, very tidy drive from the 59 with Lucas Korsch taking his first podium in third after brilliantly beating Kasperzik after a tight duel. Jeremy Leites just holds on to fifth ahead of Nick Deely. Very strong races from the pair of them. Then it's Maxime Wendler in seventh, Stanislas Bajard in eighth, Rune Babers in ninth, and Gustav Schubert rounds out the top 10. Then, not finishing the race, sadly, is Jerome Mitral and Bruno Olivier. Olivier involved in that heavy crash at the beginning. Mikolaj Hutrushki lights the flag. He wins by over 20 seconds from Tobias Blumschein. But for as well, Hutrushki, we didn't see a whole lot of him. Hutrushki was absolutely on fire today. Blumschein, though, the big winner, had to fight his way through from fourth on the grid, was as low as fifth at one point, all sorts of issues, but he nonetheless was incredibly smart, incredibly bold to get his way through into second past Paul Lepere and Romain Marchand, who had that spin that cost him second position at the final corner. Paul Lepere, another podium for him, but he will be ruining that lost opportunity to finish in the runners-up spot. Maxime Barbier avoided most of the chaos in his little duel, got the Porsche number 6 home in fifth with Santiago Barrios behind him in sixth. Then Lexi Taylor, who was running fifth early doors, he will rue that collision with the GD3 of our class winner. Then it is Michelle Balian in eighth, Olivia Demolians in ninth, and Yanis Bugiera retiring on the final lap. That cost him seventh. He is classified 10th because he was 2 laps ahead of Kostas Militas, who accrued multiple penalties. And then Sachin Sobers failing to get to the end. A big costly for Sobers, who was in fourth at the time of his retirement. Looking good to be in that podium battle as well. So before we sign off, I did miss this last time out. We have a couple of drivers that want to be interviewed. So let's start off with our Hypercar winner, and that is Mikolai Hurtrishki. And I can't move him in because nothing's happening. So I might need a bit of help from your end, Nick, if possible. Okay, well, someone needs to send a message to Mikolai and Tobias, who's also waiting to be interviewed, that they need to get themselves in as well. Yep. So I just apologize to Mikolai, so he's aware that it's not me being rude or shy. It's literally that I physically cannot get them into the commentary box. So it's just as well I didn't try and do this last week, because this is what happens, baby. When you don't have permissions as commentator in the Discord server, this is what happens. So, you get all given all the responsibility when things go wrong, but and Mikola Kudryshki says no problem. So I guess there's always opportunity. They could text me their opinions, and I could read out. I don't have no idea what Mikola Kudryshki sounds like, so I'm not even going to try and do an impression of him. I could do a Tobias impression, but he would probably find that incredibly. Okay, we have them right. So first off, Mikola Kudryshki is going to join us now.
Oh, hi.
Here we go. Sorry about that, Mikolai. We had a little bit of a difficulties there.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, certainly, your race was not one with many difficulties. In the end, you beat Paul Leclerc to pole position in qualifying with a fantastic final lap. And then in the race, you were streets ahead here at Fuji Speedway. You were lapping cars left and right before they even knew what hit them in the GT3 class. And all the fighting was going on behind. We didn't really see you until you crossed the line near the end, basically. 20 seconds to the good. You must feel absolutely delighted, especially after that very, very close fight where you nearly got beaten by Walter Natrilla last time out, last week at the Algarve.
Last week I had not that much preparation. It was my setup was not that good, and I felt just not confident in it. So it was bad weekend for me. But now this weekend the setup was perfect. Everything was perfect. But I don't know if you know, but in my best lap. I lost 2.5 tenths in the first sector because I locked the rears to T1, and it pushed me to the left. So I lost a lot of time. I think 26.9 was on the table. Yeah, but since I saw the gap 2 seconds, I just started managing tires, temperatures. I got oil overheating actually in 10 minutes till the end, so I had to do I forgot the word.
Lifting and coasting?
Lifting and coasting, because I was above 111, I think. But yeah, clear win. I'm happy.
Understandably so. And next round, of course, next week is Monza. It's the third of our sprints in a row. Are you excited about Monza? It's another circuit with lots of long straights, much like a long straight at Fuji as well. Do you think it's going to play into the hands of the Lamborghini, or do you expect the Ferraris to be strong? And of course, Walter Natrilla, who wasn't here this week, should be back next week as well. So really, it was crucial that you won while he was away, because now all the pressure's on him, because you've basically got you don't have to drop any rounds because you've won if you win them all so far, essentially.
Next weekend I don't really know. I saw in Portugal that Lambo on high wings was faster than Ferrari, so I think Monza should be easy. But I don't really know, because there are much more like slow corners, chicanes, and I feel like Lambo don't like that. It likes Spa, for example. It's a perfect track because you have some fast corners, fast long corners, and straights. So it's perfect, but I don't know if it's in the calendar. So we will see next weekend how it behaves in extremely slow corners.
Spa is round 5, so we got Monza, Sebring, which is the endurance, so it's 100 minutes instead of 40 minutes. Then we got sprints at Spa, and Bahrain is rounds 5 and 6, and then round 7 is Circuit de la Sarthe, of course, which is the final endurance, which will be our decider effectively. Unless you win them all beforehand, in which case it's kind of done already. But hey, you never know; it could happen, and I'm sure that's exactly what you're hoping for. You're doing everything right so far, Mikolaj, and doing a fantastic job. So thank you very much for coming to talk to us, and Polska Górom.
Yeah, Polska Górą, Mariusz Pudzianowski. Let's go.
That's the only Polish I know, so I hope you're pretty good. Very much.
Yeah.
And we'll let you enjoy your second victory of the season, and of course the pro. I'm sure you watch VMS Pro with everyone else, so they don't have to wait until end of the season to do Le Mans. They're doing it Circuit de la Sarthe this Sunday, so I hope you're watching our commentary as well.
Yeah, probably I will be watching. I'm looking forward to joining Pro Series. I think my pace is good. I think I can fight for podiums at most for now, but I'm learning. Yeah,
Well,
give me
every
time.
day's a school day. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm sure Jene Simičić is going to be quaking in his boots when you arrive next season. But anyway, thank you very much for coming to talk to us, and congratulations once again, Mikolaj Kotrishki, winner of the first 2 rounds of the Contender Series in Hypercar.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend and afternoon.
It's going to
Thank
be
you
a lot of
for
commentary.
watching.
That's all I can tell you. But for me.
Yeah. Have a nice
Hey.
time commentating
Okay.
and yeah.
So then, as we let Mikolaj leave, I think now's the time to talk to our second place finisher, who's been waiting very, very patiently to be interviewed, and that is, of course, the one, the only, Tobias Lumschein. Oh, sorry to interrupt you talking to yourself, Tobias, but welcome to the interview room, and well done on your first podium in Contender. Obviously, Algarve, I know, didn't quite go to plan. Paul Leclerc just got you in the closing stages. But at Fuji, you were really at the heart of the action. You were in that freeway fight with Paul, with Roman as well in the Toyota. And in the end, they all made mistakes and you outfoxed them all strategically. And it was really cat and mouse the whole way through and difficult to tell who would come out on top. In the end, it was you. And I have to say, that's probably one of the best races you've done that I've commentated on, Tobias. So congratulations.
I'd agree to disagree, to be honest. Yeah, race was decent. Surprised for me. I didn't really feel comfortable going into Fuji this weekend. I mean, it's not a track I really like. I mean, the first 2 circuits aren't really circuits I know that I've known that well from competition. Whereas the final 5 should be actually a bit more comfortable for me. I mean, Portimao was a bit of a shock for me. I thought I was going to be a bit more further ahead, and then qualifying there was a bit of a scare.
I say it was a shock because we went out Portimao, we're at Algarve. But one of the corners is called Portimao, so
okay, Portimao, Algarve. I call it Portimao. Okay.
Okay.
But no, that's not the race we're talking about. Qualifying went a bit meh. Didn't want to be 4th because I didn't like starting on the outside. Because it's just not the ideal place to start. But then I got a good jump on Leclerc, whoever the guy ahead of me is. Sorry.
I'm the Ferrari, Paul Leclerc.
Yeah, Paul Leclerc. I got a good start on him, and then I was just able to sneak down the middle. I think I probably could have gotten 2nd off the start. I was a bit too calm with Machin at the start, which was a bit frustrating. And then once I lost, I was P5 at one point. I luckily had Ryan Littlemore and Luis Gaspar in my ears constantly coaching me through the lap, especially because I was having issues with the rears. I think most people were, but to the end of the race, that actually really helped me because I thought I had a bit of an edge, especially over Leclerc and Machin, because at the end I could see that their tires were absolutely done. They were spinning constantly. And in the end, they made silly mistakes, which cost them massively, and I was able to sneak through. I mean, I made a mistake too, but you know, it's part of racing.
Yeah, there was that scary moment where you were trying to lap the GT3 traffic coming into
Yeah,
9 and 10.
I've already
You went off
apologized to the
track, didn't you?
yeah, I've already apologized to the driver. That was quite silly of me. No, what happened was I thought we split him down the middle. Because that's what I tended to have. That's what kind of happens in those situations. But it didn't really work out like that. I didn't know he went that wise to make room for both of us, which was quite kind of the GT3. I thought he'd stay on the racing line, just let me go around the outside, which is what I'd preferred. But no, I misjudged it there, which is completely my fault. And in the end, I went back off and then made a bit of an iffy rejoin. I don't think it was completely unsafe, but yeah, lost the brakes and went into him. I already cleared it up with the GT driver. We were all okay. But no, and then after that, I just got told to calm down because I was doing stuff that I'd be fined for if the FIA found out. If you know what I mean.
Well, it's okay. I won't tell if you won't tell.
Yeah,
As
exactly.
long as you weren't doing anything, to do with supporting human rights, it's all good, I think, under the FIA. But anyway, lovely chatting again, Tobias. Obviously, Monza next up, and
Yeah.
it's the first of those circuits that it's your bread and butter as a sim racing
Exactly.
driver.
I have good memories of Monza. I mean, VEC last season was good fun there. I mean, we finished fourth in Div 1, so yeah. That's the hope. I mean, especially after having to forfeit my place in the what's the main series called again? Sorry.
Pro Series.
Yeah, I had to forfeit my place in the Pro Series because I had PC issues. Even though I probably could have competed, knowing it now, seeing I only missed 2 rounds. But yeah, no. Seeing it now, it's an opportunity to just do stuff here and have fun. I mean, but no, it was Monza's going to be fun. I'm much more looking forward to it. I know what I need to work on setup wise, which is keep the tires, the rears a bit more stable because that's hurting me. But Monza's also a much less tire intensive track, so I think I can push a bit more there. But no, looking forward to it. I'm especially looking forward to Sebring though. I love that track. It's the best track on the calendar in my eyes.
I think there's quite a few that might agree with you. I think it's sort of between, for a lot of people.
Yeah, but remember, a lot of us
Mons.
come from our Factor 2, and you have to remember that was the track that got used the most. So it's kind of a thing like it gets just better, and I'm happy that I'm sad we're going to Bahrain, but what can you do? You have to go to that track.
I guess
It's nothing about the government; it's about the track layout. I hate it with a passion.
Okay, right. Okay. Well, a lot of people might feel different. The political prisoners in Bahrain might feel a bit differently to you, Tobias.
I don't know. I can't say anything about it. That's what I'm trying to say.
They haven't driven the track. Fair enough.
Exactly. The track's a domination is all I'm saying.
Okay, right. But anyway, Tobias, thank you very much for coming to talk to us. And
Yes.
You're well
My
on
pleasure.
track to being in the contention for that top 3 to be promoted into pro next season.
Championship would be nice, though.
Of course. You might be, coming in a season later, but you're certainly putting on the entertainment. You're getting plenty of screen time as well. So it's great to see
That's the important part.
a former commentator friend of mine doing well as well. So from a totally unbiased perspective. But anyway, I'm sure we're going to see much more of you as the season goes on.
Yeah.
And best of luck to you, Tobias, because
all right, yeah, cheers.
is yet to come.
Cheers, thank you.
All right, so we'll let Tobias Bumshine exit the commentary box.
Thank you.
Let's end the broadcast then. Not only looking forward to next Friday, round 3 at the Autodrome Nazionale Monza for another 40-minute sprint, but also this coming Sunday for the next long-awaited round of the Pro Championship, second endurance round of the season. And it's going to be the 2.4 hours of Le Mans at Circuit de la Sarthe on February 2nd with myself and Braden Hill in commentary. Mitchie Hoyer, of course, leading the overall championship in Hypercar, and Kieran Prendergast leading the GD3 standings. Although Prendergast yet to take a win. We've had in all of our 2 classes, 3 different races so far. We've had 3 different winners in each. Is the streak going to continue? Are we going to see our first repeat winner of the season? It's certainly going to be a tantalizing prospect. But from myself, from Nicolas Domino, from everyone here at the VMS Contender Series behind the scenes, ensuring that we have a smooth broadcast and race itself, it's goodbye for now. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday for more racing action. Stay safe until then.